Hey there fellow Indians, welcome to NewsHamster. So we are recording this video on 17th of May. A few hours ago, the Supreme Court ruling has come out that the plea against the videography survey to be conducted in the Gyanvapi Masjid located in Varanasi will be heard in a full-fledged manner on Thursday. The status quo has now been maintained, or whatever the situation is has been asked to be maintained in the same manner as directed by the Supreme Court to the district magistrate of that particular area. Now this video is not about the Gyanvapi Masjid, rather it's about the political atmosphere that is spreading towards these important historical monuments of the country. And we are also focusing on what is stopping from another Babri Masjid sort of an incident to happen in India. What is the situation around and how it is going to impact us in the long run. All this is going to be discussed. I will tell you about the significance of the Supreme Court hearing against the videography survey of the Gyanvapi Masjid and what will be the scenario later on. So stay tuned with me until the video ends, and of course if you've not subscribed to NewsHamster, please do hit the subscribe button. So a plea was filed in the Varanasi court that videography survey of this Gyanvapi Masjid has to be done because this masjid was built after breaking apart of the Kashi Vishwanath temple by the Mughal Emperor Aurangzeb. I'm not going to highlight more of this, and the result is that the videography of this particular monument was allowed, and it was found out that a shivling has been discovered from this particular masjid. Many organizations have claimed that this is not a shivling, rather it's a fountain that was found inside the Wazu Khana or the ablution center of that particular masjid. But the claim is still refuted, saying that this is the shivling that we were looking for, and this is exactly the place where the temple is located, and as a result the masjid should be given or the masjid should be broken down for worship of the Hindus. Now, going to that particular thing, we will have to wait for the rulings. We will have to wait about what the Varanasi court will say, and of course, what the Supreme Court has to say. I will tell you about the Supreme Court, but let's just rewind a little bit and understand what's happening around here. It all began with how, I'm not talking about the Gyanvapi Masjid debate altogether, but the situation around the country. It all started from how right-wing organizations protested in front of the Qutub Minar, claiming that it is a Vishnu Stambh and has been built by picking up the broken parts of the Jain temples that were demolished across the country by the Delhi Sultanate rulers. Well, that's an outrageous claim because if you look at the particular monument, you will know that it was not built by broken pieces because it's a very beautifully carved monument and has Quranic verses carved on it. Keeping that aside, the situation also went to Taj Mahal, where Taj Mahal debate started. People said that it's Tejo Mahalai, it's a Shiv temple, and claimed and filed a plea in the court to open the 22 doors of the Taj. Now, the plea was dismissed, but as a matter of fact, the Archaeological Survey of India, which maintains the monument, which have openly visited all of the doors, which clean the monument, have said that udhar kuch hai nahi, there's open plain walls, and it's just that there's no Hindu motifs, there are no Hindu deities, there are no idols whatsoever inside that particular door. So that issue was also dismissed. Now the Gyanvapi Masjid debate came all together. The videography was allowed, but what we have to focus here is the fact that this issue has catapulted, or you could say has had a domino effect, because right here down south in Karnataka, there is a masjid called as Masjid-e-Ala, or the Tipu Masjid, built by the Sultan of Mysore, Tipu Sultan, in Srirangapatna, which was his capital. Now, an organization called as Narendra Modi Vichar Manch has submitted a memorandum to the district magistrate that this is ostensibly or apparently was the Hanuman temple which Tipu Sultan broke and constructed a mosque on it. What are the evidences for it? We don't know, but the organization which has filed this particular plea is saying that they have a written document of Tipu Sultan where he's written to the king of Persia that this is the Hanuman temple which I broke and constructed a mosque over here. Now this mosque is about 230 years old and has its cultural importance in that particular place, but this is particularly seen right after the Gyanvapi Masjid debate started. Today also we are getting a news that the Krishna Janmabhoomi issue has also raked up again, where the court in Mathura has allowed for the videography of that particular masjid, or the Shahidgah that is located there in the Krishna Janmabhoomi region, has allowed videography, will hear a plea that videography of that particular masjid has to be done. So Taj Mahal is done, Qutub is done, Gyanvapi is done, Krishna Janmabhoomi is done, the Masjid Allah is done. Do we have anything more left to focus on? Whether it's whether it's not, it's a Muslim monument, it's a Hindu monument. Are you all observing what exactly we are witnessing here? Because politics and communal aspirations have reached your hijab, your clothes, your food habits, your profession. They've also reached your history now. I mean, history is not a old thing, right? History has always been affected by these communal aspirations, but now the monuments that have been, being called as this and that and this and that, I mean, they don't make sense at all to me, or it shouldn't matter to us altogether if these were something else 100 years ago, if these will become something else 100 years ago. Now, I have a legislative backing for that. Now, what was the file, or what was the plea that was filed in the Supreme Court? The plea that was filed was against the videography survey that was allowed in the Gyanvapi Masjid. The plea said that this videography survey that is being allowed in the Gyanvapi Masjid is clearly against the Places of Worship Special Provisions Act of 1991. So when the Ram Janmabhoomi movement panned out, the Babri Masjid was razed to dust in 1991. The PV Narasimha Rao cabinet brought out this piece of legislation which said that if the monument is a masjid after 1947, it should remain a masjid that time. If it's a temple, it has to remain a temple. No organization, no person has a right after 1947 to claim that वो मस्जिद थी इसीलिए हम उसको बदलेंगे, वो टेम्पल था इसीलिए हम उसको बदलेंगे. Those things should never come into picture, because the Ram Janmabhoomi movement was a very big communal divide that happened in India. Now you must be thinking, why didn't this act apply to the Ram Janmabhoomi or the Babri Masjid scenario? It's very simple. It's because this issue was age old. It was before 1947. It was during the British time that a plea was filed against this particular Babri Masjid. Now, what is stopping another Babri to happen is this act. This act is stopping this particular scenario to reoccur and any masjid to be broken to dust, because this act says that nothing can be claimed whatsoever. Jo hai, let's leave it like that. Let's not ponder over it. And if any claim existed during the time of 1947, 1991, jo bhi claim tha, all of them should be quashed down. And this is one of the reasons why many Twitter movements, hashtag movements are going on, saying that we have to remove the Places of Worship Act because we want these temples back to us. And apart from this, I would also like to point out there has also been another plea filed in the Supreme Court which says that the credibility of this Places of Worship Act 1991 has to be tested, has to be looked at, so that things can be changed and things can be bettered. Now, my point here is very, very simple. I do not clearly understand as an individual and as a journalist that I do not understand how youngsters of this country are driven by this movement that this was a masjid, this was a temple, we want it back. What was done by the Mughals have to be reclaimed. I just want to ask you, what about all those monuments that were constructed during the British time? Do you have any kind of a problem against those monuments? Aren't those monuments against the whole concept of Indian culture, because they're all built in Greco-Roman, Gothic, Victorian style? I mean, we should create the same kind of issue. We should create the same kind of trouble against these monuments as well. If you have a lot of problems with the Mughal monuments, probably you should question the credibility of these monuments that are there scattered across the country, ranging from Bengal to Mumbai to Tamil Nadu to Pondicherry to all the other places. Now, my outrage is not against those people who are filing pleas. There is a court that will decide the matter. But my outrage is against these people on Twitter who call themselves the protector, the flag bearers, the pall bearers of Indian culture, and they are so excited that shivling has been found or a plea has been, you could say filed, or the Tejo Mahalai claims are coming out. I just want to ask all these youngsters on Twitter, have you ever tried giving a read to what you call as Indian history? Do you know what led to the building of Taj Mahal? Do you know that there are historical evidences like the Shahnameh, which was written during the time of Shah Jahan, which clearly mentions that Taj Mahal was built from the ground and marble was bought in from Mathura, very close to Rajasthan. Have you tried reading all these aspects? Let's forget if Gyanvapi Masjid was a part of the Kashi Vishwanath temple or Kashi Vishwanath temple was a part of the Gyanvapi Masjid or not, but have you ever thought of reading who built the current grand structure of the Kashi Vishwanath temple, who built the current, you could say, the structure of the, Gyanvapi Masjid or even the Shahidgah in Mathura? I saw a video on Twitter where one guy is doing a vlog. He's a historical vlogger who is showcasing Hindu motifs around Qutub Minar and saying, "Ye hamara hai, wo tumhara." From when did Qutub Minar and these monuments become hamara tumhara? Why are we doing this to the heritage that has made India India? What are we doing to these monuments, these things that have contributed to the vivacity and the vastness of Indian history? I am a student of history and I love reading history. As a result, these kind of claims, when they say that monuments and these and that, they tend to affect me a bit because all of us as Indians should be aware of the past. And I'll tell you what, this is not the time to take revenge from what has happened in the Mughal era. Just look around, just do some research, find out the poverty rate that India is living under, find out the kind of malnutrition that Indian children are suffering, find out the vastness of climate change that India is experiencing, how much of carbon emissions does India emit, and how can you reduce it? Instead of reclaiming your monuments, instead of reclaiming your past heritage, which is absolutely not going to give you or yield you some kind of revenue to run the country, focus on these things that really matter. Let these people file pleas or whatever. There is court that will decide things that will come into picture, but let's focus on what we have ahead. These are all issues that have been raked up with the elections coming and all the other things coming. You as youngsters really need to understand what we need right now. It's not a temple, it's not a masjid. What we need is development, what we need is growth. I know this all sounds a little pragmatic and funny to you all, but just think of it. Just understand what is going around you and you will probably understand. Just don't rely on WhatsApp forwards and tweets and Twitter campaigns. Try to go visit your nearest library and pick up a book and read about the social scenario of India today, the political scenario of India today, and of course the history and the place that we are coming from. That's it for this video, guys. I'm sure you have a lot of refuting claims. You can write to me in the comment section. We can definitely discuss on it and we can work on more videos where I will try to explain to you what exactly is the Gyanvapi Masjid debate, what exactly is the history of the Shahidgah Maidan, or what exactly is the Qutub Minar scenario. But that's later. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned to NewsHamster.